Hello guys, welcome to this video. So in this video we are going to make a simple game. This game, the computer will simply, it will generate a random word, then give you time to type the word. Now if you type it correctly, score will be updated. That is, 1 will be added to score. If you do it wrong, the game will restart, and the last score will be updated. Then score will go back to 0. If you type if you waste time or time runs out on you, then the game will restart also, and last score will be updated as it did when you typed wrongly. So let's demonstrate it. So it says letters. So you see, score gets updated. Now let me allow time to run out. It says time up. Last score has been updated. Now let me type garbage. Sorry. It says you typed wrong. Score is 0. So this is what we are going to do today. It's a very simple application. This is the link to the CSS. In the body, we have the main and we have the script tag. So in the main, you have these elements too. So you can pause this video and type all these things in your own IDE. So they are very simple. Just the H3 here. Inside the H3, you have another element, span element, with a class name of time. This is to get, to be able to control the content of this element or this field, if you get what I mean. So also we are using the class name of word, because this one will be changing all the time. The computer will be changing this word all the time. Now remember also the input, you put autofocus, so that you don't have to focus, you don't have to click on the input to begin to type. Now the ID will be user input. Then we have the score. This is the styling, the CSS. Of course, this is not a CSS tutorial, so just pause the video and copy this thing into your computer, or you style it anyhow you want. So here is the first one. Now, sorry. So I don't want to type these things all over again, because it's going to waste a lot of time. I don't want this video to be too long. So you can simply pause the video and type it into your own IDE. So let's get to the business of it. This is the variables first. So you set your variables first. So let time be document.querySelector time, like .time. Let word, that is to say we are selecting this and this. So we're also selecting the user input using get element by ID. So this is for time, for word, for user, for what the user types, that is user input. Then ls, mind you, ls, this is a variable, and when I say ls, I mean last score. So you don't confuse it with local storage, because it will come up later. So ls means last score. So document.querySelector last score, then let score be document.querySelector score. So let's save. Now let's see if we are actually connecting. So console.log time. We are okay. Here it is. Here it is, as you can see on your screen. Now let's see if we have word. As you can see, it is there. So we are actually connecting correctly. So when I coded this app, I used a few words, you know, I made a list because we are going to select items from a list or from an array, sorry. I made an array of a few words, so there were just too few words because I couldn't, there's no way I can type more than 200 words. I don't have the time for that. So I used a method, I used JavaScript to do it. Now, we have to, for you to get this, just go to any website or any news article or any news website, click on any article, copy and paste any body of text in it into your IDE. Then go through the words and make sure you remove any punctuation. Every punctuation must go so that it does not confuse you later. So now, what do? What we'll do next is to split all these things or to convert this into an array of individual words. So that is what we are going to do. Here it says, let's word array. That is, we are making a variable, and this variable will contain the sentence dot split. So here we are using the dot split. We are using the split method to split all these words into individual, to split this sentence into individual words. Now let's see what we have here. So let's console log. Let's log this out. Sorry, did I say log it out? So let's console log this word array. You see, it divides it into individual letters, individual characters. Of course, this is not what we want. This is not what we want at all. So now we have to add space to the split method. Now you have individual words. So now I want to get the amount of, or the number of items in this word array. So we do that by using the word by using the word array dot length. So now let's see what we have. It says 219. We have to get items from the array. We do that by as you can see here, word array, then inside the square brackets, then we put any number between 0 to 219. Of course, you know the length of the array is 219. So any number from 0 to 219 will return we call it an index. So we have can. Now let's do other words too. So you have choosing, you have parameters. So this is how to select, or this is how to to hard code it on your own. But of course, it is the computer that should be doing it, and should be doing it randomly. Now, how do we do it? We first of all generate a random number. Once we generate a random number, or once we get that number, we then put it inside this square bracket. So that number will then become the index or the word. It will refer to the word that we are, or the item we are looking for, or the item from the array, sorry. So let me knock these things out first. Console log math.random. So math.random will return a random number from 0 to 1. So it might be 0.5, it might be 0.2, 3, 4, so forth and so on. So we will then multiply it by the number of items in the array. So random number generated by JavaScript multiplied by the number of items in the array, which is word array dot length. So what do we have? We have 24.58 and so forth and so on. But unfortunately, we are not going to, I mean, these square brackets will not accept any float or a decimal number. It accepts only whole numbers. If you try it, it will give you an error. So we will have to convert that. We have to convert this number into an integer or into a whole number. So we do that by using the math.floor method. So if you console log math.floor, that is when after generating this number, then convert it into an integer. It gives 151. Refresh, it gives 196. Refresh again, it gives 170. So each time I refresh, each time I run that code, it gives me a random number. Now we have to put this random number inside this square bracket and to give us a different word each time. So let's try it. It says off. Then I refresh, it gives is. I refresh, now it gives list. I refresh again, choosing. So each time I refresh it, it gives a different number each time. So what we have to do now is to change the content of this word here. We have to change the content of this word here. So remember, we used query selector word to select this. Here it is, word. So we will now change the content of this. So once we generate that random number, we put it inside another variable. This time around, we call this variable rand item, so kind of random item. So it refers to the random index number that refers to the word in the array. So that is that. Now we have to change the content of this word into whatever item is, or whatever word is generated here. We do that by saying, or typing word.inner.html is the inner HTML is the content of that HTML tag, or that HTML element. So we will change whatever is inside it using inner HTML. So the inner HTML will be word array random item. Remember, this is random item. We put this number or inside these square brackets. So it then refers to the word that will be displayed on the screen. So let's see what we have. So it says websites. Let me refresh. The word changes to there. Each time I refresh, it gives me a different word. Each time I refresh, you see, we get a different word each time. Now, let's move. So here we have let delay be 5, or 5 is assigned to the variable delay. So 5 refers to the amount of time you have to type the word. So I did it this way because we wanted to add some variety. Sometimes you might, let's say in the future, you might want to add some more features, like making it hard, easy, and normal. So by reducing the time, by reducing the time to make it to increase the difficulty. So we don't want to hard code anything. So let's just start with 5. So here we have it says let delay be assigned to sec. That is, this variable can still be assigned to another variable. So it still works. Now, because what we are doing now, what we are going to make now is the timer. So we use an inbuilt or built-in method called setInterval. So setInterval is a function that runs after a specified amount of or a given period of time. Now we use this setInterval to run this function, this counter function. It requires two is it called argument or something? Counter, which is the function it will run. Then for example, 1000. This 1000 here is 1000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. So after each second, this setInterval has to run this counter function. So after each second, it will run this counter function. Now, counter function, or let's say this function now is not, there is no function in JavaScript that is called counter. Therefore, we have to make our own. So how do we go about it? It's very simple. Now we have the definition of the counter function. So function counter brackets. So we have these curly brackets, to indicate that this is a function. So time dot inner HTML will be second minus, which is second minus 1. Sec minus 1, sorry. So sec is this delay, so it will be 5 minus 1. So each second it has to remove 1 from 5. Now, if there is the if statement, because once it subtracts 1 from this variable, from this sec variable, at a time it will get below 0. So which means that you have run out of time. So which means this if statement here is to check if you have run out of time. So if sec is now equal to or exactly minus 1, that is, it has gone below 0. Here it says, the comment here says, if time runs out. So once time runs out, what does it do? Local storage dot set item will become the score dot inner HTML. Remember, this is the score. So local storage becomes the score dot inner HTML. Here again is the score. And it will also alert time up, which means to alert you that your time is up. Then the sec variable will be reset to delay. That is, it will restart the game. So last score, mind you, this is last score, not local storage. So last score dot inner HTML will become local storage dot get item. That is, the computer will go into the local storage to get an item, and that the key to that item is score. I forgot to talk about it here. So set item, to set an item into the store it into the local storage, and now we will use the key we use the key of score to refer to that item in the local storage. So whenever we want to get that thing back, we simply put score. Now score.innerHTML will become 0. Location.reload means we just have to restart the game or to refresh the page. So we have all. You see, it says time up, off. Now as soon as time runs out, it says time up. So what we do next is to get an input from the user. So the user will now, the user must type in something into this field. So that is what we are going to do next. So we do that by adding an event listener to this variable. Here it is, user input.add event listener. So what event are we listening? Our program listen to, the application listen to or listen for is key up event. That is to say, when you press a key and remove your hand, you remove your finger. When you depress a key and remove your finger or lift up your finger, it counts it as an event. So once that happens, it must run another function, or it must run this function. So it said we are looking for a key up event. Now this function will be, because what you're actually trying to do is, once you remove your finger from your keyboard or from the key, or once you lift your finger, then it will check the button you pressed. Now, if this is the if keyword, if that button is enter, that is, if the button you pressed is enter, or the enter key, if the key you pressed is enter key, then it will run this other function. So that's why here says if. This is the if statement, of course. E dot, of course, the E, mind you, we put E here is to show that we are looking for an event. So if the event that happened is a key that was pressed, and that key is enter, now it will run this function. So the function says, it will run this if statement. So this if statement will then check what you typed. Now it says user input.value. So we use user input.value to check what the user entered here. That is, the user input.value is, for example, this garbage here, that is the user input.value. So we use the user input.value to what the user typed. Now compare it to word.innerHTML. Simply get whatever is here, compare it to what is here. If they match, then score.innerHTML will be score plus 1. So what is going on here? Mind you, this one here is a string. It's not an integer. So it's more or less, or it's more like these letters. So if you simply add it, it will, if you put addition, it's gonna be a simple concatenation. That is like given word will then become, it will just add the two together. But we don't want that. We want a mathematical operation. Now, that is what we are doing here by saying parse int. So parse int will simply convert that number into an integer and add 1 to it. So which means it adds 1 to your score. Then it will also run this function, change word. Change word is not part of the functions that come in with JavaScript. Therefore, we have to define it. We have to make our own function, just as we did in the past. So sec will then, the sec variable will go back to delay. Else, that is, if you typed a wrong thing, local storage.set item, it will set your score, alert you that you typed wrong, then alert you also the score you had. So score.innerHTML. As you can see, score, we are simply concatenating. So string plus string. So it will simply give you, for example, if you have 1, you simply say score 1. Now, the sec variable will go back to delay. That is, to go back to default. Then the last score will be set to local storage .get item. I've talked about this before. Score.innerHTML will go back to 0. This one is not really important. I don't even know what it's doing here. Now, the user input field will go back to empty. That is to say, here we go back to empty. So let's see what we have. So it says time up. Now if I press OK, if I click OK, it refreshes or it reloads the game. It restarts the game. So this is what we have now. But as you can see, the words are not changing. If I type A, for example, sorry, you see, it doesn't change. So we have not defined the change word function. So that is what we are going to do next. So as you can see, this is where we define the change word function. So it says let random item. Of course, we've talked about it. We talked about it in the beginning. So word.innerHTML will then become this word rand. Excuse me. This rand item. So let me save it and see what we have here. So it says option. I typed wrong. You typed wrong. Score is 3. So let me try it again. So as you can see, this is how it works. It's very simple to do. So it is it's called programming. So you have to move from one item to the other, from one program to the other, just as a TV programming. You move from one, for example, let's say music programming, you move from one music after the other, one music after the other, or one song after the other, sorry. One song after the other. So this is how it is. I'm still a beginner. So I just want to show you what I know. I just did it on my own. So thank you very much for watching this. So hope to see you next time.